Hi, everybody. I'm Lisa Stone of Parenting Aces, and I am joined today by Dan Holman, who is the National Manager for Youth Tournaments with USTA, and we are going to have a little conversation about the 2021 Junior Comp changes because I've been fielding a ton of questions on these changes, and why not go to the expert and get the answer? So, Dan, welcome. Thanks for doing this.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. I'm excited to be here.
Good. So let's start by having you explain to everybody, what does it mean to be national manager for youth tournaments for USTA?
Yep. Very good question. I work in the recreational competition department. I work very close hand in hand with the sections, the section junior PD managers and also the districts. And basically, I am in constant communication with all the section PD managers and help.
Excuse me, PD, player development, just for those who aren't familiar with USTA ABCs.
Correct. So basically every section in the United States has a representative basically for youth competition. They kind of all have maybe different names depending on what part of the country you're in, but that's kind of what we call them. So with all 17 sections. So.
Got it. And so you kind of coordinate the efforts across the sections from the national level. And were you involved, were you at the table as plans were being made for this new 2021 junior comp and ranking structure?
Very good question. And the answer is yes. I was actually the one who spearheaded a lot of this and who really got the ball rolling, who collaborated with the sections, and it was an 18-month project to get to kind of where we are today, moving forward into 21. So I was the one who collaborated with the section player development managers to get us to this point. So
great. And why do we need a new system?
We need a new system because our current system, I think what we are hearing from the sections and from our consumer is fragmented. It's very confusing. It's outdated, and we historically in the past, I think, made it very challenging for our consumer to navigate the tournament waters, so to speak, find certain tournaments. We have 17 sections, so we have 17 different ranking tables. In some sections, there's multiple ranking tables within each section, depending on what section you live in. So it can be quite daunting and confusing, to be quite honest with you. And this originated almost 2 years ago, where we had a group of all the sections and volunteers and staff, and they said, "Look, we need to do something to really try and streamline our efforts here and to make things easier, a simpler pathway for our consumer." And this system will position us to be under a unified system in the future, which is a really exciting time. Quite honestly, it's a historic time for the USTA, for us to be moving into one unified system, to have all the sections agree with the value in this and the benefits for the consumer. And the last thing I'll say is I think there's a lot of excitement and buzz around this because this really did originate from our sections and from our volunteers, from our staff, more so from top down, more saying this is how it needs to be because we're national and we think it should be this way. This really was a group effort, and I think that's why there's a lot of excitement around it.
It's interesting because, I've been involved in junior tennis. Well, I was a player growing up, but took a long hiatus and then got back involved when my son started playing. And I started asking questions and filing complaints about Tennis Link from very early on in my son's junior competition days. We now have a new structure for searching for tournaments, for signing up for tournaments. Tennis Link is gone. We have it's called Play Tennis, right?
It's called Serve Tennis.
Serve Tennis. Sorry.
Yeah. No, you're good. Yep.
And that's where you go to search for tournaments now, and you can. So there were a few glitches when that was first released 2 weeks ago, I guess. Y'all have since gone back in and worked through some of those glitches, kind of fine-tuned a few things, and it looks to be a pretty good system. What's the feedback you're getting so far on that?
Yeah, the feedback has been good. I can say too, for us, another reason why this is an exciting time for the USDA is for us to be migrating to this new system in Serve Tennis and off of TennisLink. To your point, has been a long time coming, and this system is really bringing us into 21, and it's really gonna make things easier for the consumers to register for tournaments, find tournaments, as you know, to try and go to the search field in TennisLink, and especially if you're a newer player and trying to find a tournament is quite daunting and overwhelming. So this new functionality is going to be a lot better, coupled with the fact that we're going under one system. So, a level 6 will be a level 6, level 5, and those names are prefixed at the front of every tournament. So people will be able to search by ranking level. So we're excited about Serve Tennis. It's, we've had TennisLink for close to 20 years. So change is going to be different. It's not going to be TennisLink, and it's going to take some time. And, for us with Serve Tennis, what we're really trying to do now is really build the framework now. And then as each week goes by, there's going to be continuing enhancements every couple of weeks to the system. So what you see now is just going to continually get better and better and better as we have to put in key components of the new digital system and then build upon that. I think it's important for the consumer to know that what they see now, I would say in 3 or 4 months, it's just going to continually get fine-tuned and get better and better and better. So
if people using the system, your consumers, as you're calling them, notice things that are problematic, is there a way for them to, file a suggestion, or is there's some sort of digital suggestion box?
Yeah, very good question, and we love feedback. So yes, we have a very robust online customer care center where the consumer can go in and submit tickets. And also along those lines, from the tournament director side of things, we have the same thing for them as well, knowing that they're moving to a new digital system as well. So that's going to be a big change for all of them. So there's an opportunity where you can talk to customer care agents, submit tickets. There's certain articles from that center, and the beauty behind this new online help center is that we cater it towards what we're seeing and how many clicks we're getting and what tickets are being submitted. So I can tell you the customer care center 3 months ago looks a lot different than it does now, because we've added articles and done things because we're able to keep track of what's coming in. So it really helps us. So I would encourage the consumer to go into this online help center, and if there are problems or they're experiencing things, so please go there and or reach out to their section point of contact.
And where is the customer care center? Is it online, or is there a phone number?
It's online. There's also a phone number as well. So that's something we're happy to share with you. So you can post after this, so you can let everybody know where it is with the link. Yeah. Perfect.
Okay, so now getting into my questions specifically about the new ranking system. And these questions, please understand, are coming from Parenting Ace's community members. So these are parents asking the questions. And so hopefully we can clear up some things that people are a bit confused about. So my first question is, will the new ranking system be adjusted to account for players and sections that aren't holding any tournaments due to COVID? If so, how?
Right. Very good question. The ranking program is not going to be adjusted, but let me clarify kind of how we got to this point. So if I could go back to how with the system and how we did it is, you have to remember we have the multiple ranking system, multiple tournaments within each section, and all those tournaments counted differently. So the process that we took was that we created a mapping, we called it a mapping or a tagging user interface for all of our section point of contacts. And what they did is they went in and they designated what tournaments would count and how they would correlate to the new system as best as they could. So we knew that there was going to be disruption, and that's because you're you're comparing apples to oranges.
Sure.
So it made it. We knew it was going to be a challenging project, and then coupled with the fact that we were in the middle of a pandemic and we had limited data because of the lack of play, because of what happened since March, presented another challenge. But what we wanted to accomplish is that we wanted to be sure that everybody, we had the sections that were participating as much as they possibly could in a regionalized local fashion, and all those events would be mapped accordingly. So that's the direction that we went. And I think, the shadow rankings have come out, and our goal is that, it was disrupted with the limited data set. Our goal is come 21 and beyond. Now, once everybody gets under a new system and it gets more uniform as each month goes by, that everybody's under one system, the rankings will become more and more true, more and more accurate as 21 progresses.
So, I mean, the follow-up to that is, how is selection going to be handled into the L1 events with the discrepancy in play opportunities?
Yep. So the level 1 events, with the new system, we're still retaining quota. Okay, so the geographical representation from all the sections, so quota is not going anywhere. So even in the extreme case, to your example, if depending on, there's obviously mandates and restrictions depending on where you are in this country, what state you're living in. So quota will still remain intact. So in that sense, sections are still going to have spots from the quota into our premier events. So
but let's say there's a section where no play is happening. What rankings are going to be used, because tournaments drop off after a year?
Yep. Good. So we're working through exactly what the selection process will be for those premier events. If it's going to be more of a manual list, or we might look back into 2019 and use a frozen national standings list, and/or the use of wild cards. So these conversations, as you know, this is a very fluid situation, and it's evolving and it's changing. So just know that it's something that we're looking at very closely, and I would say probably more information to come on the level 1s in selection process, but there still will be quota. And we will have section representation at those premier events. So,
can you speak to the kind of example of, let's say, a player who was in the top 10 in their section before COVID, due to lack of play and due to those tournament ranking points dropping off, is now, let's say, 150? How is that player going to continue to have the opportunity to play the higher level events?
Right. So again, I think that's tied into the selection process. So if a additional NSL is used, or we look back for additional time frame to help for that example.
And again, NSL, sorry to interrupt you, but NSL National Standing List.
Yeah, sorry. Yes, sorry.
That's okay.
We have so many acronyms in our nomenclature. But yeah, so of a national standings list. So again, knowing that there has been limited national sanctioned play, so that's something that we're looking at. So the thinking is, if we pull in additional a bigger date trap, so we could pull in those additional events. That's something that we're looking at. In addition to, we're still looking at the wildcard process too, for those edge cases, and what that's going to look like as well. So I guess my answer would be, stay tuned on that. But there again, the quota is still going to be there, and more information to come on the level 1s specifically.
The wild card situation has always been controversial because it's kind of been, cloaked in secrecy, and nobody really knows how you get a wild card and what you need to do to get one. Right now with COVID and this issue of some sections not having tournaments, the wild cards are going to become that much more valuable. Is USTA going to release some information to the public about how a player would apply for a wild card, which criteria are going to be considered, et cetera, especially for the larger events?
Yep. Yeah. You're right. I do think that they're going to be important. And I think what I know, the National Junior Competition Committee, it's a new term. Come January, it's going to be a new committee. And I know that that's something that is going to fall under that their purview. So it's something that, again, it's, we're really looking at those level ones and that selection process and the wild cards. So that's something that we're happy to be more as transparent as possible. So when we have that information, we're happy to share that with everybody and get that out there.
Great. Okay. Moving on to my next question. In sections where there are currently no tournaments, what other opportunities will juniors have to be seen by college coaches? Is USTA looking at developing some alternate, showcases or smaller events where college coaches can tune in virtually and see players that they may be interested in and hopefully discover some new players?
Yep. Yeah, I know. Unfortunately, the pandemic has negatively impacted college tennis as well. And it's
in a big way.
In a big way, and it's very unfortunate. So our goal is that, I think the bigger pro here is that this new unified system, in my opinion, I think really opens up more doors for players and actually enables college coaches to understand our system easier. And also, depending on where you live in this country geographically, the beauty of this new system is that the points are going to count, whether you go across section lines. Right. It might be easier for you to travel, across section lines instead of driving 3 hours to stay in your section, because sometimes in the previous system, the points wouldn't count. Whereas in this new system, the points will count depending on what ranking level. So that's a long way for me to say that, our plan is that, we hope that the coaches will understand this system, and a lot of them are in a dead period currently, and they're having to adjust their recruiting methods as well, whether they're video, Zoom, and all that as well. So our goal is that if we can get these regional play opportunities and get kids back on the court in a safe manner, and where coaches are able, if they can go, if they're allowed to go watch these players, then great. If not, then hopefully they can do it virtually. So it's something that's very important for us. And I know the state of college tennis right now is has really impacted the non-revenue sports, and it's something that we need to do everything we can to support the college coaches and make it as easier for them to find our players and to recruit them. So
yeah, absolutely. What is happening with team events during COVID? Are there going to be team events in 2021? What are those going to look like, and how do we find them?
Yep. So another great question. So the team events have obviously been impacted because of COVID for obvious reasons, because they're team and I'm also including doubles. The reality of the situation is that in a lot of places in this country and facilities, you have team, and if you have doubles, you have double, triple the number of players on site, on court at the same time. And for the health and well-being and safety of everybody, it makes it it makes it very challenging to run those events, unfortunately. So that's why a lot of the pause on the team and doubles events is out of the necessity right now for the health and well-being of safety of players. The intent of the USTA and for us and for the sections is, doubles and team events are critically important for the development of players. It's something we believe in wholeheartedly. The reality is, because of the state of what's going on in our country, they're very challenging to run currently, which is why a lot of sections and us are not offering a lot of doubles play, because it's, there's a lot of, especially in a lot of our northern sections where they have to play indoors.
Right.
They're only allowed so many people, plus ones. with parents. So it makes it very challenging. So our goal is, once we feel that we're able to offer team and doubles events in a safe manner for our consumer, then that's what we're going to do. And so that's kind of our plan right now. We feel that individual, I mean, unfortunately, the reality is, I guess, individual play right now is probably the safer way to go, and it's easier for the tournament directors, and depending on where you are in the country, to run them versus team and doubles events currently right now in this current landscape.
So they're on hold for now, but depending on what happens over the course of the next few months, we may see a return to the junior comp calendar of these doubles and team events.
Correct. Yes.
Okay.
Yes. That's our goal. Again, we're really monitoring this and trying to, do what we can and be proactive with it. I think that's a realistic expectation, but I think right now for us, the landscape is saying more individual type events, and quite honestly, that's what we're hearing from the sections as well.
Right.
So.
Okay. Well, so you kind of rolled in my next question, so I'll skip to the next one. How will events be calibrated and updated based on the strength of the draws from state to state? There are large deltas between level 6, level 5, level 4, etc. And it seems like it's a big challenge to ensure equality even within the same state, but more importantly, nationally.
Right. Yep. So this new system, the beauty behind it is we're all going under one system, and there's going to be 7 ranked levels. So we're under that umbrella, so to speak. But if you really dive down deep into it, the way it was set up, and kind of the beauty behind it is that we built in some flexibility for the sections to be able to close certain events, or the lower events are open so people can travel across state lines, and we built in certain draw formats that sections could offer depending on the number of courts of the facility or what works better. So the thing we also did that I think a lot of people maybe don't know about is we expanded the bonus points list to the top 500 players. So for those sections who are in historically stronger sections in terms of quality of players ranking, for them to play in a certain a level 3 closed event, which would be their sectional championship, with the quality of players that they have, and in addition to the bonus points, is going to greatly is really going to help them in terms of quality wins and significant win points.
So it weights the ranking structure, basically. Correct. Is what these bonus points do. It adds credit, so to speak, correct, if you're playing in a more challenging section, or right, if you beat somebody that is ranked significantly ahead of you.
Yes, it does greatly. That's a very good way to put it. And so, the notion that if you're playing in a strong section in a high level event, and if you have good quality of players, top 500, the mathematically, for you to do well in that tournament is going to help you immensely on your player record, and also developmentally too, because now you're getting quality matches in a more regionalized manner, and you're not traveling as far. So we feel like it's a win on both fronts. So the expansion of the bonus points list, I think, was a key component to this, that it helps alleviate that delta, what that question came in, and really does promote sectional play, and really puts an emphasis on those that sectional play, which is extremely important, especially during a pandemic where people are staying typically closer to home, I would say, on average.
Or should be, anyway.
Or should be, right. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Very good point. Yep.
So this last question I want to just bring up, because point chasing has been a real problem traditionally with USTA, the way the structure has been. And especially now in a pandemic, nobody wants to encourage families to travel distances to get into a tournament with a weaker draw so that they can earn more ranking points. And just based on what you said about the bonus structure, it seems like that's a major thing USTA has put into place to put a stop to this point chasing garbage that's been going on for decades. What else is built into this new structure that's going to discourage players from seeking out easier draws? And this is something that I've been preaching for 10 years. I know USTA preaches this too. If you want to get as good as you can get, seeking out weaker competition is not the way to get there. Right. But some people are just concerned about the ranking. They want to get as many points as they can get. And so they're willing to forego development in order to achieve a higher ranking.
Right. Yeah. And, it's a really good question, and it's something that that I think you hit the nail on the head in terms of the bonus points. The bonus points are set up as such where if you really go look at it, I mean, some of the points that you can get for a top 50 win, top 25 win are significant. Mm-hmm. I mean, a couple of 100 points. So, for that, hopefully, the intent was we really front filled that bonus points to help alleviate that, to make it that much more appealing. Okay. So people don't travel around. And what we're also trying to do, I guess the beauty behind us moving to a new unified system in 21 mm-hmm. is that it helps the USA and it helps us be nimble, in the sense that if we have to add or do something here, the entire country is under one system. Mm-hmm. So if we have to add some date blocks here or do something here, it's a lot easier than maybe in the past, so to speak. So, what we're trying to do, and even with the February date block, trying to add more level 2 opportunities come up in a more regionalized fashion. To your point, we can't tell a consumer where they have to go. I mean, sure. Ultimately, if they want to go do that, they can, and there's nothing but what we can control is to try and strategically place events regionally where we provide a more regionalized opportunity if the consumer wants to go that route and or drivable, mm-hmm. So they don't have to hop on a plane. But the bottom line is that if somebody has the means and resources, and if they want to do that, then they're going to be able to do that. But hopefully by us providing this schedule and regionalized opportunities, and with the inclusion of the bonus points, hopefully it mitigates some of that and sends kind of a different message.
Right. And I mean, once COVID's over, it's not as big of a concern, but right now it certainly is. And I don't think anybody at USTA, and certainly I don't want to encourage families to risk their health and safety in order to get additional ranking points for their kid. Like, it's just not worth it.
We agree. I mean, look, the safety and well-being of everybody involved is the priority, and it should be the priority, and it's at the forefront. So, and the other thing that really makes it challenging in this current landscape is the quarantine issues from state to state. Right. So a lot of that too really does make this challenging as well, depending on where you are. So again, what we can do as a governing body is provide these play opportunities and help steer people maybe to a closer, higher level event, more so than maybe what has done in the past. And that's what we're looking to do.
Well, and continuing to educate the consumer on the importance of quality competition as opposed to just collecting ranking points for weaker competition, right? And it's a message that we all have to continue to put out there, that if you want your child to achieve their highest potential, then you challenge them. You don't travel around the country seeking weak competition. You stay home and you play everybody, and you try to beat everybody within your area that's in driving distance, that allows you to sleep at home in your bed, that reduces the need to seek out, restaurants or takeout opportunities. But, right now during COVID, it's great that tennis is available to most players, in most areas of the country, but we also need to stay safe out there.
No, I agree. And, just going back to the comment about, with the inclusion of the bonus points, I mean, really, I hopefully, it's a different system and it's going to take, people are going to have to get used to it. And we expect that, and it's going to be disruptive. But I think the pros outweigh the cons. Look, it's a really exciting time for junior tennis, really,
Sure.
for us to be in this position. And the whole point chasing, and, a perfect example would be if I point chase and go to a certain part of the country because I want my child to play in a level 4, and it's maybe a weaker draw. So and there's not as many players in the top 500 or top 200 versus if I stay closer and I play in that same level 4, the chances, like, it's going to help me more developmentally, and not, like, I'm going to have the person could actually earn more ranking points if they do well and they stay at home, the way the bonus points are set up. So again, there's a lot of value in that, and I think it's something that I really hope that consumers really think about in this current climate.
And just like any other ranking structure, you don't get ranking points if you don't win matches. So you got to win the matches to get the points, whether that's staying close to home or traveling wherever to get them. We're all hoping that everybody will stay close to home, at least while COVID's still with us. And once it's behind us, then, all bets are off, I guess. But, but for now, And so, Dan, you're going to be sharing with me, once we get off this call, some links. And those links will be posted on parentingaces.com along with this interview. And I'm hoping that all of you watching will click on the links, get educated, really start to understand this new structure. We've posted, several interviews over the last few months about the new structure and how it's going to work. And if you have questions, there is a consumer hotline, so to speak, for you to ask your questions and get answers directly from USTA. And again, that link will be on parentingaces.com. So have a look.
Yep. And thank you for the opportunity, and thank you for what you do. And again, we are very. I know it's been a very difficult year on many fronts, but I think for us, there's a lot of excitement around what 21 could bring in terms of junior tennis with the new system coming, with the new digital system. I think there's a lot of reason to be excited about junior tennis, specifically the junior tournaments, and it's something that we're looking forward to. So.
Me too. I'm ready to be back out there. I miss those kids. I miss the coaches. I miss the tournament directors. So
do we.
Yeah.
So thank you very much for the opportunity, and hope everybody has a safe and happy holiday.
Thanks, Dan. And thank you also to Dan Pizer for organizing this call. And as always, he has been a tremendous resource for us, and really appreciate his help. So Dan, happy holidays to you. To those of you watching, this may be the last time you see me in 2020. I'll be back in 2021, but have a great holiday season and be safe, be well, and get out on the courts.
There you go. Thank you very much. Have a good one.
Thanks.